The story begins with a young man named Simon, who lives with his girlfriend Julia in a house by themselves. But before we start the movie, don't forget to hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with new content. We learn that Simon and Julia are animators, which is why they live together. One day, Simon takes Julia to his parents' house to introduce her to them. It was his first time returning after being away from his family for 6 months. We find out that Simon chose this specific day because it was his father's birthday, and they were hosting a party, with the whole family present. However, Simon notices a girl he's never seen before standing next to Michael, his father. He's curious about who she is and why she's at the party, since it's a family gathering. After a while, he sees her again with his father and learns that she's his new girlfriend, but Simon is still curious to know more about her. When he asks his uncle about her, he's told that she's his father's new secretary. At this point, we learn that Michael and his wife Louise are both psychologists. Despite working together at the same clinic, Michael cheats on her and has many affairs. What's strange is that Louise knows all about these affairs, but she can't stop him because she has a weak personality. However, Louise is now tired of the relationship and wants to separate from Michael, which upsets Simon a lot. He doesn't want his mother to leave his father, but she tells him that she can't stay with him anymore after he hired a new secretary named Sonia. She also tells him that Michael has taken time off to travel with Sonia, and she's sure that he brought Sonia along because they plan to get married during the trip. Naturally, Simon is very upset when he hears this and tells his mother that he's willing to do anything to ruin this relationship and get Sonia away from his father. At this point, his mother comes up with the idea of having Simon work at the clinic with Sonia, forcing her to stay there with him to assist him. This way, Louise and Michael will travel alone and try to fix their relationship. Simon likes the idea and agrees to it. The day of the trip arrives, and Simon bids farewell to his parents as they leave him at the clinic with Sonia. When Simon meets Sonia, she's very upset with him because if it weren't for him coming to work at the clinic, she would have been traveling with his father, whom she loves and believes loves her too. But Simon shocks her by telling her that his father has had many affairs before her, and this isn't the first time. He tells her that his father is playing her, and there's no way he truly loves her. Sonia begins to think about what he said and responds by telling him that she's different from anyone else his father has known before, and that his father promised to marry her. This upsets Simon even more, and he starts to suspect that his father really does intend to marry her. The next day, Simon overhears Sonia talking to someone, telling them to leave their family for her. Of course, Simon is convinced that the person she's talking to is his father, which makes him furious because even while traveling with his mother, his father is still cheating on her with Sonia. But he decides to ignore all of this and focus on the work he's supposed to do. However, over time, Simon gets bored and goes to talk to Sonia, who is still upset with him for stopping her from traveling with his father and getting married to him. She tells him that the reason she wants to marry his father is because she's spent her entire life alone, and all she dreams of is having a child. That's why she wants to marry Michael and start a family with him. Simon feels moved by her words and sympathizes with her. When he tries to comfort her and hands her a tissue, Sonia gets close to him and tries to flirt with him romantically, but he feels embarrassed and leaves. Later, he meets up with Julia, who tells him that the art competition is in 2 weeks, and they still have many drawings to finish. She can't complete the work alone, so she tries to convince him to leave the clinic and return to drawing with her. But Simon refuses because he promised his mother he'd stay at the clinic with Sonia. At this point, Simon is torn between finishing the drawings with his girlfriend or keeping his promise to his mother. When he meets Sonia again, he apologizes for what happened the day before, but she changes the subject and doesn't seem upset with him. Simon asks her to keep what happened between them a secret. When Sonia leaves the clinic, Simon feels anxious and thinks about watching her to make sure she doesn't tell his father anything. He starts searching the clinic for her address and finds her file, where he learns that she was once a patient of his father's. She had considered ending her life due to depression and loneliness, but his father managed to treat her and then hired her as his secretary. The next day, Sonia comes to the clinic looking for her file, because she doesn't want anyone to know about her illness. When she asks Simon about it, he tells her he found it while organizing the clinic. Sonia realizes that Simon now knows about her past, and she's deeply affected and angry with him because these are very personal matters. She threatens to tell his father everything, but Simon gets close to her and takes the file from her forcefully, and Sonia seizes the opportunity to engage in a romantic encounter with him. Afterward, she leaves in fear of being seen by someone. A short while later, Simon follows her to a secret room away from the clinic. But before we continue, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell to get all the latest updates. Afterward, they have another romantic encounter, and the next day, Sonia gives Simon her home address and asks him to visit her. Later, Simon sees Julia, his girlfriend, sitting alone with a strange guy. He asks her, "What are you doing here?" She tells him that this guy is helping her with the drawings because she's been busy all the time. Although Julia is upset with him, she tells him, "If you want to continue working, come to my place anytime you're free," but Simon walks away, suspecting that she might be cheating on him with this guy. The next day, when Simon goes to Julia's house, he finds her working on the drawings with her friends, preparing for the art competition. Simon feels jealous because she managed to finish the work without his help, and made new friends during the time he was away. But Julia tells him, "You have no right to speak, because you didn't want to help me with my work, and I only have 2 weeks left, and I need your help to finish the drawings and win the competition." Simon is angry with her at this point, but he still loves her and doesn't want to leave her. So, he calls his mother and asks her to return to the clinic, so he can go back to his normal life. His mother agrees, but tells him that she'll return in 2 days. The next day, Simon goes out with Julia, but he feels sad about himself, and confesses to her everything that happened with Sonia at the clinic. Julia is, of course, shocked by his betrayal, and she leaves him. At the same time, Sonia sends him a message asking him to come to her house to spend the holiday with her. Indeed, Simon goes to Sonia's house, and when he arrives, Sonia is very romantic with him, and they have a relationship. The next day, when Simon wakes up, he doesn't find Sonia beside him. She leaves him a note saying that she went out to buy something, and will be back soon. Simon begins to explore her house and sees a picture of her with his father, realizing that this house was a gift from his father, Michael. At the same time, Michael returns from his trip and goes to Sonia's house. Naturally, Michael is shocked to find Simon there and asks him why he's at Sonia's house. Simon responds, saying, "You're cheating on Mum with Sonia." The two begin to argue, and Michael tells Simon that Sonia wanted to have a child with him, but Michael says that this is impossible because Simon is his only child. When Sonia returns home, Michael tries to talk to her, but she ignores him and approaches Simon, hugging him in front of his father. Michael realizes that she's trying to provoke him, and he tells her that she means nothing to him, and that he can meet plenty of other women. But Michael tells Simon that the real problem will be when Louise, his mother, finds out about his relationship with Sonia. When Simon returns home, he finds that his mother already knows everything and is deeply saddened, as she tried to keep Sonia away from her husband, but accidentally brought her closer to her son. Simon tries to apologize and make amends with his mother, telling her that Sonia affected him because she's a good person who only wants to have a family and a child. 9 months later, Sonia gives birth to Simon's child, fulfilling her dream of having a family. She's now married to Simon and living in the house that Michael gave her as a gift. Simon has grown closer to Sonia, but he feels sad when he thinks about his old life, when he was happy, drawing and doing the things he loved. But Sonia's entry into his life ruined everything, as his attempt to help his mother ended up costing him dearly. And that's the end of today's film. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell to stay updated with all the latest content.